and welcome, One Piece fans. As I'm sure you're aware, this is a major weekend for One Piece. In honor of that, I am wearing my One Piece t-shirt. I would like to get one of the Stampede t-shirts, as this is the weekend that Stampede came out, but I don't know how likely that is. On top of the Stampede movie, we're also finally back in Wano in the anime. Not that the filler episodes were that bad, but they're not Wano. So, without further ado, let's get into this review of the latest episode, 897. So this episode picks up right where we left off in the last Wano episode. We get another look at Tama and Ace, which I don't know how many times we've seen this. I've seen it a million times on Twitter, a million times in the manga, a million times in the anime, but every time I see Ace and Tama and their flashback and how close they were, literally tear-jerking. Like, it's just so touching. I don't know how Oda does it, the way he's able to build these connections between characters and audiences, especially with kids like Tama. But this is a beautiful scene, and the animation and the music only make it better. After that scene, we see Luffy finally get into his kimono, which looked great in the manga. It looks even better with the bright colors in the anime. But right before he leaves, we see him take the sword from Hitetsu, and that sword is the Nidai Kitetsu. Now, Hitetsu explains to us that that sword was forged by his ancestor, but if that sword name sounds vaguely familiar, and if you are even vaguely obsessed with Zoro like I am, you'll know right away that that sword is very similar to his cursed sword, the Sandai Kitetsu. Now, if you remember that was the sword he got in Log Town, where it almost chopped off his arm. So, Luffy has the sword, the Nidai, and Zoro has the Sandai. So, this is mentioned again in the manga. I won't go too much into detail, but this is going to be a big deal because this will probably end up being one of Zoro's swords. So, Luffy picks up that sword and he runs off. Now, before I talk about what happened in the rest of the episode, I want to take a moment to just, again, for the millionth time, talk about how great the animation is for this Wano arc, because it's just absolutely fabulous. We had the scene where he's leaving the town to go to the wasteland, and you could see the lighting in the forest. Like, it felt like I was playing a video game. The lighting in this forest was just absolutely gorgeous. And then we had the scene where he finally reaches the wasteland, and it just reinforced how desolate and destroyed this country is with the scene where he reaches the wasteland. Because not only was it really barren and eerie, but we had the smoke from the factories, which I don't know what exactly it was, but it was just so much more powerful than it was in the manga. And it really came across how hurt this country is from everything that Kaido is doing. So this animation is absolutely gorgeous, and I hope it's something that continues in further episodes. But after Luffy reaches the wasteland, he comes into contact with Zoro. Now, this was a great scene in the manga, and the anime only did it better. It's these little filler parts that weren't in the manga, but they don't really change what happened in the manga, and they always reinforce and, in my opinion, enhance. This reunion between Luffy and Zoro was major in the manga, and it was even better in the anime, in my opinion. One thing that I thought was just hilarious was that they just had a conversation about how poisonous the food is, and then they go ahead and eat all the food. But before they reunite, actually, we see Zoro beat some of Kaido's men to save that lady. Now, we don't get her name in this episode, but for the sake of conversation, her name is Suru. She will be an important character, but just remember her name. But we see Luffy and Zoro reunite, and then we see Hawkins. Now, obviously, we knew he was coming. If you're a manga reader, you know he was coming. If you've even watched the opening once, you know he's coming, which, unfortunately, the opening reveals a lot and spoils a lot about the show. But you knew he was coming if you read the manga anyway. And I'm sure you knew if you're even a small One Piece fan. But we see Hawkins, and one thing that stuck out to me was that Luffy is really bad with remembering people, and he knew who Hawkins was right away. And I'm sure it's because he's better with faces than names, but I just thought it was strange that he just instantly remembered who he was when he really hasn't even talked to Hawkins. But maybe he got close to him in the Stampede movie. I don't know. But anyway, we have the encounter with Hawkins, and in the manga, he comes up a lot and a lot and a lot. And I don't know, I'm a little disappointed with his character. Now, let me be clear. He's not a poorly written character, not at all. But I thought he was really cool in the earlier parts of the show, but as the story goes on, he kind of comes across as like a thug because he totally ditches Kid, which understandably, but it would have been a redeemable moment if he stuck with Kid. So he joins Kaido, and in the manga, I won't spoil it, but he just comes across as like a typical thug. And it's something that happens with Drake too. We see in the last episode, it was the last episode, we see that he killed that entire town. And again, I thought Drake was another really cool character, but he kind of comes across as just like another thug, like another typical pirate as the show goes on. So I think they're cool characters, or coolly designed characters, and I don't think they're poorly written. I just had higher expectations for them, and they just fell short. But anyway, that was this episode. The next episode I'm really excited for because, like everything else they've been doing in the anime, I'm sure the fight between Luffy, Zoro, and Hawkins is going to be way better than it was in the manga. I am super excited for the next episode. I plan on doing a review for that one too. So, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to comment, subscribe, go ahead and reach out to me on Twitter. Thanks for listening, and I hope to hear from you soon.